The big room was quiet as Dr. Kim Hyuk walked in. His steps echoed on the shiny floor. Above him, the ceiling stretched so high it seemed to touch the stars themselves. This was the Great Hall of the Galactic Confederation, and today was Earth's big day. Dr. Kim fixed his formal blue suit and tried to look calm. Inside, his heart beat fast. After 100 years of work, humans had finally built ships that could travel faster than light. They had reached out to the stars and found they were not alone. The galaxy was full of life, 247 different kinds of thinking beings, all part of a giant group called the Galactic Confederation. Today, Earth would officially join them. "Remember," said Park Min, his assistant, walking beside him, "stay calm no matter what they say." Her voice was low and steady. "Some of these aliens have been in space for thousands of years. They think they're better than us." Dr. Kim nodded. He had been chosen to speak for all of Earth, and he would not let his people down. The hall was filled with creatures of all shapes and sizes. Some looked almost human. Others were so strange Dr. Kim could hardly look at them. Many floated in the air. Some glowed with inner light. A few were just clouds of gas or strange patterns of energy. At the far end of the room, on a platform that floated 10 feet above the floor, sat the most important being in the galaxy, Vorax the Magnificent, the Galactic King. Vorax was tall and thin, with golden skin that seemed to shine from within. His head was long and pointed, with 4 eyes set in a row. His mouth was a small slash that barely moved when he spoke. Everyone said he was over 5,000 years old. His species, the Voshari, had ruled the Confederation for longer than humans had been building cities on Earth. Dr. Kim stopped at the proper distance and bowed low, just as he had practiced. "The humans of Earth greet the Galactic Confederation," he said in clear, simple words. His translator device changed his speech into the common galactic language. "We are honored to join your great society of worlds." A small ripple of polite sounds moved through the crowd. Then Vorax leaned forward. "Earth," he said, his voice deep and musical even through the translator. "The small blue planet from the outer arm. How quaint." Dr. Kim kept his face calm, though he didn't like the king's tone. "We bring gifts and hope to learn from the great civilizations of the galaxy," Dr. Kim said. He motioned, and Park Min stepped forward with a beautiful box made of real wood, a rare thing on most planets. Inside were Earth's treasures, seeds from 1,000 plants, music from every culture, and data crystals filled with human knowledge. Vorax hardly looked at the gifts. One of his servants took the box away. "Tell me, human," said Vorax, "how many of your years did it take your kind to discover gravity waves?" Dr. Kim blinked. "About 400 years from our first scientific revolution." A sound like laughter came from many of the aliens in the room. 400 years. Vorax's 4 eyes blinked one after another. "The Zil people managed it in 90, and even they are considered slow thinkers." More laughter filled the room. Dr. Kim felt his face grow hot, but he kept his voice steady. "Humans learn at our own pace, Your Magnificence, but we learn well, and your neural architecture," Vorax continued as if Dr. Kim hadn't spoken. "So simple. Just electrochemical signals bouncing around in that tiny skull. Most species outgrow such limitations before they reach the stars." Dr. Kim had been warned this might happen. Many advanced species had brains partly made of quantum systems or specialized organs that could reach across space without technology. Humans were indeed simple in comparison. "We hope to grow and develop with the guidance of the Confederation," Dr. Kim said. Vorax made a gesture that Dr. Kim's translator couldn't interpret. The aliens around the room reacted with more laughter. "At least they're humble," someone said from the crowd. Vorax leaned back in his floating throne. "Earth will be classified as an emergent sentient world, Category 3. Dr. Kim knew what that meant. Category 3 was the lowest level for any world allowed to join the Confederation. It meant heavy restrictions on trade, limited access to advanced technology, and almost no voice in galactic politics. "Your Magnificence," Dr. Kim said carefully, "Earth respectfully requests Category 2 status. Our world has much to offer in terms of cultural diversity and adaptability. Vorax's eyes all fixed on Dr. Kim at once. It was a strange, uncomfortable feeling. Cultural diversity? The Galactic King's voice was soft but cut through the room like a knife. What could your young species possibly offer that the galaxy has not seen 1,000 times before? Humans are quick learners, Park Min said suddenly. Dr. Kim shot her. A warning look, but she continued. We master new ideas faster than most species. Our adaptability. Silence, Vorax said, not loudly but with such force that Park Min stopped mid-sentence. The human does not know proper protocol. In this chamber, only primary representatives may speak. I apologize for my assistant, Dr. Kim said quickly. As for being quick learners, Vorax continued, let us test that claim. The Galactic King straightened in his throne and began to speak in a different language. Dr. Kim's translator device made a strange buzzing noise and then went silent. The sounds coming from Vorax were like nothing Dr. Kim had ever heard. Whistling tones mixed with deep thrumming notes, clicks and pops that seemed to vibrate the air itself. Dr. Kim stood confused, not understanding a word. When Vorax finished speaking, he looked at Dr. Kim expectantly. Well, your response? My translator did not convert your words, Your Magnificence, Dr. Kim said. Vorax made that strange laughing sound again. Of course not. I was speaking High Celestial, the true language of galactic civilization. Even your primitive translators cannot properly render its complexity. What did you say? Dr. Kim asked, trying to keep his dignity. I recited the simplest verse of our founding charter, Vorax said. School children of the advanced races can understand it by their 5th year, the hall filled with sounds of amusement from the gathered representatives. Dr. Kim stood stiffly, feeling the humiliation burn through him. Earth will remain Category 3, Vorax announced. Perhaps in a few centuries you may advance. When one of your primitive offspring can speak my tongue without technology, then perhaps we will reconsider your status. That's not fair, Park Min whispered. But Dr. Kim silenced her with a look. The Earth delegation accepts the wisdom of the Galactic King, Dr. Kim said formally, though the words tasted bitter. Good, Vorax said. You may trade with approved worlds, travel on designated routes, and learn what you can. But remember your place, humans. You have joined a society, older and wiser than you can imagine. With that, the audience was over. Dr. Kim bowed again and walked backward the proper 7 steps before turning to leave. His face burned with shame as he felt the eyes of 1,000 alien species watching him go. As they left the great hall, Park Min whispered to him, This isn't over, Dr. Kim. We'll show them what humans can do. Dr. Kim nodded, but his heart was heavy. Earth had reached the stars only to find they were very small fish in a very large pond, and the king of that pond had just made it clear that humans were barely worth noticing. The Earth delegation returned to their ship in silence, carrying the weight of the galaxy's mockery with them. They had a long journey home and difficult news to deliver. Humanity had found its place in the universe, and that place was at the bottom. But as Dr. Kim looked out at the stars during their return journey, he couldn't help but wonder, what would it take for humans to prove themselves to the arrogant Galactic King? Little did he know the answer was already growing up on Earth in the form of a child who would soon change everything. 6 months after Earth's embarrassing welcome to the Galactic Confederation, life went on. In New Seoul, the morning sun lit up the tall buildings. On the 15th floor of Building 7, in apartment 1503, 8-year-old Choi Ji-woo sat at the breakfast table, swinging her legs as she ate her rice and soup. Eat faster, Ji-woo, her mother Choi Yuna said. You'll be late for school. Ji-woo nodded and took another bite. She was small for her age, with round cheeks and bright, curious eyes. Her dark hair was cut in a neat bob that framed her face. Dad, can I come to your lab today after school? Ji-woo asked. Her father, Choi Dae, looked up from his tablet. He had dark circles under his eyes from working late. Since Earth joined the Confederation, his job had become very important. He was a xenolinguistics researcher, someone who studied alien languages. "Not today, little one," he said gently. "I have important visitors." Jiwoo pouted but didn't argue. She knew her father's work mattered. After the Galactic King had mocked Earth, the government had put more money into understanding alien cultures and languages. Choi Dae was trying to learn the hardest language of all, High Celestial, the language of the Galactic King. "Will you work on the clicking sounds again?" Jiwoo asked. Her father looked surprised. "How did you know about that?" Jiwoo shrugged. "I heard you practicing last night." What she didn't tell him was that she had been listening to his research recordings for 3 years since she was 5. When her parents thought she was sleeping, she would sneak into her father's home office and play the alien language files on his computer. "Yes, the clicking sounds are part of High Celestial," Choi Dae said. "But it's very hard, Jiwoo. Even our best computers can't fully translate it." "Because it has math in it," Jiwoo said simply. Both her parents stared at her. "What did you say?" her father asked. "The clicking sounds. They're math problems," Jiwoo said, finishing her soup. "When the clicks get faster, the numbers get bigger." Choi Dae put down his tablet slowly. "Jiwoo, how do you know that?" She shrugged again. "I just hear it." Her parents exchanged a look that Jiwoo couldn't understand. Then her mother glanced at the clock. "We'll talk more after school," she said. "Now hurry up or you'll miss the bus." Later that evening, Choi Dae came home with a small recording device. Jiwoo was doing her homework at the kitchen table. "Jiwoo, I want to try something," he said, his voice tense with excitement. "Can you listen to this and tell me what you hear?" He played a recording. It was the voice of Vorax, the Galactic King. The sounds were strange, whistles and clicks and deep humming tones that seemed to vibrate the air. "It's a welcome speech," Jiwoo said. "He's saying the Confederation embraces all who can rise to its standards." Her father's mouth fell open. That's right. But how do you know?" Jiwoo thought for a moment. "The whistles are words. The clicks are... It's hard to explain. They're like numbers that change the meaning. And the humming sounds show how important the words are. Can you..." Her father swallowed hard. "Can you say it back? Can you repeat what you heard?" Jiwoo nodded. Then she opened her mouth and perfect high celestial sounds came out. The whistles, clicks, and hums were exactly like the recording, but in her young voice. Choi Dae dropped into a chair, his face pale. Yuna, who had been listening from the doorway, rushed in. "How is this possible?" she whispered. "Humans can't make those sounds. Our vocal cords can't do it." "Apparently they can," Choi Dae said, staring at his daughter. "Jiwoo, how long have you been able to understand these recordings?" "Since I first heard them," she said. "I sneak into your office sometimes and listen to them. They sound like music to me." Her parents weren't angry about her sneaking. They were too amazed. "Do you understand what this means?" Choi Dae said to his wife. "She's doing what the Galactic King said was impossible, a human child speaking High Celestial without technology." For the next week, Jiwoo's life changed. Her father brought her to his lab at the Earth Xenolinguistics Center. Scientists ran tests. They played recordings of High Celestial and Jiwoo, understood them all. They asked her to speak the language and she did it perfectly. "It's not just mimicry," said Dr. Bae Sunho, the head of the center. He was a short man with kind eyes and gray hair. "She truly understands the mathematical principles embedded in the language. She's solving complex equations without even realizing it." "How is this possible?" Choi Dae asked. Dr. Bae looked thoughtful. "Perhaps we've been looking at this wrong. We thought humans needed special technology to understand High Celestial because our brains process language differently than advanced species. But Jiwoo doesn't need technology," Yuna said. "Exactly," Dr. Bae nodded. "Which means either Jiwoo is unique or humans have abilities we didn't know about." They did more tests. They brought in other children Jiwoo's age and played the recordings. None of them understood. They tried older children and adults. No one else could hear what Jiwoo heard. "She's 1 in a billion," Dr. Bae said. A prodigy. One day an important visitor came to the lab. Dr. Kim Hyuk, the man who had stood before the Galactic King. He watched as Jiwoo translated a complex speech from a Voshari diplomat, getting every nuance right. "This is incredible," Dr. Kim said. "Do you understand what you're doing, Jiwoo?" She nodded. "I'm just listening to the music in the words." "Music?" Dr. Kim looked confused. "That's how she describes it," Choi Dae explained. "The mathematical patterns in High Celestial sound like music to her. Her brain processes it differently than ours." Dr. Kim knelt down to look Jiwoo in the eyes. "Jiwoo, do you know what happened? When Earth joined the Galactic Confederation?" "The king was mean to Earth," she said. "He said we were primitive." "Yes," Dr. Kim said. "And do you know what he said would change his mind?" Jiwoo shook her head. "He said Earth would get more respect if a human child could speak his language without technology." Dr. Kim smiled. "Just like you can." Jiwoo's eyes widened. "Really?" "Really," Dr. Kim said. "Which is why I want to ask you and your parents something. Very important." The adults moved to the corner of the room to talk privately, but Jiwoo could still hear them. "The 5-year anniversary of Earth's admission to the Confederation is in 3 months, Dr. Kim said. Representatives from all worlds will be there, including Vorax himself. If Jiwoo were to attend. You want to use my daughter as a political tool?" Yuna's voice was sharp. "I want to give Earth a chance," Dr. Kim said. "Right now we're stuck at the bottom. We can't get the technology we need. We can't trade freely. We're treated like children among adults." "And you think Jiwoo can change that?" Choi Dae asked. "I think she already has," Dr. Kim said. "The question is whether we show the galaxy what she can do." Jiwoo stopped listening and went back to her tablet. On it was a recording of the Galactic King's speech from last year, the one where he had mocked Earth. She played it again, listening to the complex sounds. To her, it was as clear as her own language. She didn't fully understand the adults' conversation, but she knew one thing: she could do something no other human could do. And somehow that mattered a lot. As the grown-ups continued their serious talk, Jiwoo practiced speaking back to the recording, matching the Galactic King's tone perfectly. She didn't know it yet, but her unique ability was about to change the fate of her entire species. 3 months passed quickly. Every day Jiwoo practiced High Celestial with her father and Dr. Bae. They taught her about alien customs and how to behave in front of important people. Jiwoo was a fast learner. By the time the big day came, she knew more about High Celestial than any human alive. "Are you scared?" her mother asked as she brushed Jiwoo's hair. They were in a small room on a large spaceship heading to Nexus Prime, the center of the Galactic Confederation. "A little," Jiwoo admitted. She was wearing a special blue dress made for the event. It looked like a normal Earth dress but was made from a special cloth that changed colors slightly when she moved. "What if I make a mistake?" "You won't," Choi Aoi Dae said from across the room. He was wearing a formal suit that matched Jiwoo's dress. "Just speak naturally like you do in practice." Dr. Kim Hyuk entered the room. His face was serious. "We're almost there. The ceremony starts in 2 hours." Jiwoo had never been in space before this trip. Through the small window of their room, she could see Nexus Prime. It wasn't a planet, but a giant space station. It looked like a huge wheel with spokes coming out from the center. Lights of all colors glowed along its surface. Thousands of ships moved around it like bees around a hive. "It's so big," Jiwoo whispered. "It's home to over 50 million beings from across the galaxy," Dr. Kim said. "The Great Hall where we'll meet the Galactic King is at the very center." Their ship docked at one of the spokes, and they were led through long corridors by tall, thin aliens with blue skin. Jiwoo tried not to stare, but it was hard. She had only seen aliens in videos before. "Remember," Dr. Kim said quietly as they walked, "you don't speak until I introduce you. Then you bow and address the king as we practiced." Jiwoo nodded, feeling butterflies in her stomach. This was much bigger than her school play last year. Finally, they reached the Great Hall. It was even more amazing than Jiwoo had imagined. The ceiling was so high she could barely see it. The walls seemed to be made of a material that shifted and changed, showing scenes from across the galaxy. Thousands of aliens of all shapes and sizes filled the massive space. So many, Yuna whispered, holding Jiwoo's hand tightly. The Earth delegation was led to a waiting area. Dr. Kim explained that they would be called forward when it was Earth's turn to speak. Many worlds would present their reports to the Galactic King first. It will be a few hours, he said. Try to rest. But Jiwoo couldn't rest. She watched in wonder as strange creatures walked, floated, or slithered past. Some looked almost human. Others were so different she couldn't even guess which part was their head. That's a Zil diplomat. Her father pointed out a large, round being that seemed to roll rather than walk. And those glowing clouds are the mist people of Zara. After what seemed like forever, a tall alien approached them. Earth delegation, it said in a voice that sounded like metal scraping. You will present now. They followed the alien to the center of the hall. The crowd parted to let them through. At the far end, on a raised platform, sat Vorax the Magnificent. Jiwoo had seen pictures, but they didn't capture how the Galactic King really looked. He was tall and thin, with golden skin that seemed to glow from within. His 4 eyes were set in a row across his long face. He wore flowing robes that changed color with his every movement. His floating throne hummed softly as it hovered above the ground. Galactic King Vorax, Dr. Kim said, bowing low. Earth thanks you for this audience on the 5th anniversary of our admission to the Confederation. Vorax's 4 eyes blinked one after another. Earth, he said, his voice deep and musical. You have brought a child to this most formal occasion? Dr. Kim straightened. Yes, Your Magnificence, this is Choi Jiwoo, daughter of Choi Dai, one of our leading xenolinguistics researchers. Vorax leaned forward slightly, all 4 eyes focusing on Jiwoo. She felt very small under his gaze. And why is this child here? The king asked. This is not a place for the young of primitive species. Some of the aliens in the crowd made sounds that Jiwoo guessed were laughter. Her cheeks grew, hot with embarrassment. Dr. Kim smiled slightly. 5 years ago, Your Magnificence, you stated that Earth would receive better status when one of our children could speak your language without technology. We believe Jiwoo can do exactly that. A murmur ran through the crowd. Vorax's eyes widened, slightly, then narrowed. Impossible, he said. The human brain lacks the neural complexity to process high celestial without assistive devices. Perhaps you would allow a demonstration, Dr. Kim suggested. Vorax made a gesture with one long-fingered hand. Proceed. Though I warn you, making false claims before the Confederation is a serious offense. This was the moment they had prepared for. Dr. Kim nodded to Jiwoo. She took a small step forward, letting go of her mother's hand. Jiwoo's heart was beating fast, but she remembered what her father had taught her. She took a deep breath, bowed exactly as they had practiced, and then began to speak. What came from her mouth was not human language. It was high celestial in its purest form. Whistles and clicks and deep resonant tones that filled the great hall. The sounds she made carried mathematical patterns within them, forming a perfect greeting in the most complex language in the galaxy. Your Magnificence, I bring greetings from Earth. May your light shine through the cosmos eternally, she said in high celestial, adding the special tones that showed deep respect. The hall fell completely silent. Thousands of beings stared in shock. Vorax himself rose from his throne, his 4 eyes wide with disbelief. He responded in high celestial, his voice rapid and complex. He was using words and patterns far more difficult than what Jiwoo had said. A test. Without hesitation, Jiwoo answered. Her small voice carried the complex sounds perfectly. She even included the subtle mathematical harmonies that changed the meaning of certain words, something that even advanced species struggled with. Vorax stepped down from his floating throne. The crowd gasped. The Galactic King rarely left his seat during formal events. How is this possible? He asked, now speaking in the common galactic language so everyone could understand. No human has ever mastered even the basics of high celestial without translation technology. I just listened to the math and the sounds, Jiwoo said simply, also switching to common language. It's like music to me. Vorax's eyes narrowed. A trick, perhaps. He turned to one of his advisors, a tall being with crystal-like skin, and spoke, rapidly in High Celestial. Then he faced Jiwoo again. "Child, answer this question," he said, and switched back to High Celestial. This time he spoke a complex series of sounds that contained hidden mathematical riddles, a traditional test used to verify true understanding of the language. The Earth delegation held their breath. They couldn't understand what was being asked, but they knew this was the real test. Jiwoo listened carefully, her head tilted slightly. Then she smiled and responded in perfect High Celestial. In her answer, she solved each riddle correctly. But she did more than that. She spotted a deliberate error the king had included as a trap and politely corrected it. Vorax stepped back as if struck. The crystal-skinned advisor made a sound like breaking glass, perhaps their version of a gasp. "Impossible," Vorax said again, but quieter this time. "Yet I have witnessed it myself." He switched back to the common language. "How many other human children can do this?" "As far as we know, Jiwoo is unique," Dr. Kim said. "But her ability suggests humans may have untapped potential in linguistic processing." The Galactic King stared at Jiwoo for a long moment. His four eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of deep thought among his species. "This requires investigation," he said finally. "The child will be tested by our scientists. If her abilities are confirmed..." He paused. "Earth's status in the Confederation may indeed need to be reconsidered." Dr. Kim bowed again. "We welcome any tests, Your Magnificence." As they were led away from the central platform, the Great Hall buzzed with excitement. Aliens of all kinds were discussing what they had just witnessed. Many were looking at the Earth delegation with new interest. "You did perfectly," Choi Dae whispered to his daughter, squeezing her hand. Jiwoo smiled up at him. She didn't fully understand the politics or why this was so important. But she had felt the shift in the room. Something had changed today, and it had changed because of her. The next 3 days were very busy for Jiwoo. After her amazing performance in the Great Hall, she was taken to a special science center on Nexus Prime. The center was a large white building with rooms full of strange machines. Aliens in shimmering coats moved quickly through the halls. "These are the best scientists in the galaxy," Dr. Kim explained as they walked. "They want to understand how you can speak High Celestial." Jiwoo held her mother's hand tightly. "Will it hurt?" "No, little one," said a new voice. They turned to see a tall alien with purple skin and 6 arms. 4 of the arms were holding different devices. "I am Chief Scientist Lan Po. We will only scan your brain and test your hearing. No pain." The tests were strange but not scary. Jiwoo sat in comfortable chairs while machines hummed around her. She wore special helmets that felt light as air. She listened to recordings and repeated what she heard. Sometimes she solved puzzles made of sounds and numbers. On the 3rd day, Lan Po called for a meeting. The Earth delegation gathered in a round room with a large table. Holograms floated in the air, showing images of Jiwoo's brain alongside other brains. "We have our results," Lan Po said. All 6 of his arms were moving, pointing at different parts of the images. "They are unexpected." Vorax himself had come to hear the findings. He sat at the head of the table, his 4 eyes fixed on the holograms. "Explain," the Galactic King commanded. Lan Po touched one of the floating images. It grew larger, showing a detailed picture of the inside of Jiwoo's head. "Human brains have always been considered simple," Lan Po said. "Basic electrochemical signals, no quantum structures, no telepathic centers. But look here." He pointed to a part of Jiwoo's brain near her ears. "This is the human auditory cortex, the part that processes sound." The image zoomed in, showing tiny structures that looked like twisted ropes. "In most species, this area is just for basic sound processing," Lan Po continued. "But in humans, and especially in this child, these neural pathways have a unique structure. They can naturally process mathematical patterns within sound." "What does that mean?" Choi Dae asked. "It means," Vorax said slowly, "that what we thought was a weakness is actually a strength. Human brains evolved to hear patterns in sound that most species need technology to detect. Lan Po nodded, his purple head bobbing. Exactly. High Celestial is based on mathematical harmonics, patterns of sound that carry meaning through their mathematical relationships. Most species need neural implants or translation devices to process these patterns. But humans don't? Yuna asked. Some humans don't, Lan Po corrected. Your daughter's brain shows an especially strong version of this structure, but our tests suggest that approximately 3% of human children might have similar abilities if exposed to high celestial during early development. Dr. Kim leaned forward, his eyes wide. 3% of human children? That's millions of potential speakers. Vorax's golden skin seemed to glow brighter. How did we miss this? We have studied thousands of species. Because we were looking for the wrong thing, Lan Po said. We expected advanced brains to have quantum structures or telepathic centers. We never thought to look for specialized acoustic processing in a purely biological system. It's like how some humans can have perfect pitch in music, Dr. Bay suggested. The ability to identify notes exactly without reference. Similar, yes, Lan Po agreed. But more complex. Jiwoo is not just hearing sounds. She is unconsciously processing the mathematical relationships between them in real time. Everyone turned to look at Jiwoo, who had been quietly listening. She felt a little uncomfortable with all the attention. Jiwoo, Vorax said, his deep voice softer than before. Can you explain how high celestial sounds to you? Jiwoo thought, for a moment. It's like music with puzzles in it. The whistling sounds are like melody, the clicks are like rhythm, and the humming tones are like when many instruments play together to make a bigger sound. And the mathematics? Vorax asked. The patterns? They're just there, Jiwoo said, not sure how to explain it better. Like how you know that 2 + 2 is 4 without having to think about it. When I hear the sounds together, I just know what they mean. Vorax turned to Lan Po. Could we teach other human children to do this? With early exposure, yes, the scientist said. Our tests show that the human brain is most receptive to these patterns before age 10. After that, it becomes more difficult. This is remarkable, Vorax said. He stood up from his chair and walked around the table, his robes flowing behind him. For the first time, he looked at the Earth delegation without any sign of mockery or disdain. Do you understand the significance of this discovery? He asked them. Dr. Kim nodded slowly. I think so, but please tell us your thoughts, Your Magnificence. High Celestial is not just a language, Vorax explained. It is the foundation of our most advanced sciences. The mathematical principles embedded in it are used in everything from faster-than-light travel to quantum computing. Species that cannot master it are limited in how far they can advance. Which is why Earth was classified as Category 3, Dr. Kim said. You thought we could never truly understand your highest knowledge. Correct, Vorax admitted. But now, he looked at Jiwoo again. Now we find that humans may have a natural ability that even my own species lacks. We Voshari need specialized neural training for 10 years to master what this child does instinctively. Jiwoo didn't fully understand the science, but she could tell this was very important. The adults all looked stunned, especially her father. There's more, Lan Po said. He touched another hologram, and new images appeared. We tested Jiwoo's brain with other forms of pattern recognition. Her ability extends beyond language. She can intuitively grasp mathematical relationships in music, visual arts, and even certain types of abstract thought. Could this be why humans developed such diverse musical traditions, Dr. Bay wondered. Possibly, Lan Po said. It would explain why your species finds such emotional meaning in sound patterns that seem simple to other races. Vorax had been quiet, thinking. Now he spoke directly to Jiwoo. Child, I would like to try something. I will speak a sequence in High Celestial that no one has ever heard before. A new creation. Tell me if you understand it. The king made a series of sounds, unlike anything Jiwoo had heard. The whistles rose and fell in strange ways. The clicks came in complex patterns. The humming tones shifted in pitch so subtly that even Jiwoo had to concentrate hard. When he finished, the room was silent. Everyone waited for Jiwoo's response. "It's a story," she said slowly, "about a star that died and was born again as many, smaller stars. But it's also about ideas that spread and change." She paused, thinking. "And it's a math problem about things that divide and multiply." Vorax's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "Perfect," he said. "Absolutely perfect." He turned to the Earth delegation. "I must consult with the Confederation Council. This discovery changes many things." He looked at Jiwoo one more time. "You have taught us an important lesson, young human. Never judge a species by your expectations of them." With that, the Galactics, King left the room, his advisors hurrying after him. "What happens now?" Jiwoo asked her parents. "I don't know," her father said. "But I think you just changed the future for all humans, Jiwoo." As they left the Science Center, word of the discovery was already spreading through Nexus Prime. Aliens stopped to look at them as they passed. Some even bowed to Jiwoo, making sounds in their own languages that her parents couldn't understand but Jiwoo somehow could. They were saying thank you, and teacher, and new friend. The galaxy was changing its mind about humans, all because of one small girl who could hear the music in the stars. 6 months after Jiwoo's amazing demonstration on Nexus Prime, Earth was a different place. The sky above New Seoul was filled with alien ships coming and going. Buildings that had once been empty were now schools where children learned high, celestial. The whole world was changing faster than anyone had expected. Jiwoo stood by the window of her family's new apartment, watching the busy sky. They had moved to a bigger place in the diplomatic district, where many alien visitors stayed. When they came to Earth, "Are you ready, Jiwoo?" her mother asked, straightening the collar of Jiwoo's new formal dress. This one was made of a special fabric from the mist people of Zara. It seemed to float around her like a cloud when she moved. "I think so," Jiwoo said. She was nervous but excited. Today was a big day for Earth. Her father came into the room, wearing the black and gold uniform of the new Earth Diplomatic Corps. "The car is waiting," he said. "We don't want to be late for our own celebration." They rode through the streets of New Seoul in a hovering car. People waved as they passed. Everyone knew who Jiwoo was now. Her face had been on screens all over the world. The ceremony was being held in a huge new building called the Galactic Unity Center. It had been built in just 3 months using alien technology. Inside, the main hall was large enough to hold thousands of people and aliens of all kinds. Jiwoo and her parents were led to special seats in the front row. Dr. Kim Hyuk was already there, looking very formal in his new robes. "The big moment is almost here," he said, smiling at Jiwoo. He looked much happier than when she had first met him. "Are you excited?" Jiwoo nodded. "A little scared too." "That's normal," Dr. Kim said. "Just remember, you've already done the hard part." The hall filled quickly. Humans sat next to aliens from across the galaxy. Many of the aliens wore translation devices, but some were trying to speak Earth languages. Jiwoo could hear them practicing Korean, English, Spanish, and many other human tongues. A hush fell over the crowd as a group of tall figures entered from the main doors. In the center was Vorax the Magnificent, the Galactic King. He was visiting Earth, something no Galactic King had ever done before. "Please rise for His Magnificence Vorax of the Voshari, King of the Galactic Confederation," a voice announced in several languages at once. Everyone stood as Vorax made his way to the stage. His golden skin glowed in the light. His robes seemed to contain stars within their fabric. 4 Earth children walked with him, carrying the edges of his long cloak. They had been chosen from the first class of human high celestial speakers, children who, like Jiwoo, had the special ability to hear the math in the language. Vorax took his place at the center of the stage. Behind him, members of the Galactic Council sat in a half-circle, and among them, wearing the blue and silver robes of a full council member, was Dr. Kim Hyuk. The king raised his hands, and the hall fell silent. "People of Earth," he said, his deep voice carrying easily through the vast space. 6 months ago, a child from your world taught the galaxy an important lesson. His 4 eyes found Jiwoo in the crowd. She showed us that greatness can come in forms we do not expect. Vorax gestured and a hologram appeared above the stage. It showed the galaxy, billions of stars swirling in a great spiral. For 3,000 years, the Confederation has ranked worlds based on their technological advancement and neural complexity. Earth was placed in Category 3, Emergent Sentient. The hologram changed, showing Earth as a small blue dot at the edge of the galaxy. We believed humans would need centuries to reach higher status. The king made another gesture, and the hologram changed again. Now Earth glowed brightly, connected by lines of light to many other worlds. Today, by unanimous vote of the Galactic Council, Earth has been reclassified as a linguistic specialist world with privileged status across the Confederation. The hall erupted in cheers. Humans hugged each other and their alien guests. Jiwoo's father put his arm around her shoulders and squeezed gently. "This is because of you," he whispered. When the noise died down, Vorax continued. "The Earth Academy of Celestial Linguistics will be established today as a center of learning for all species. Students from across the galaxy will come here to study with human teachers." On a signal, Dr. Bae Sunho came to the stage. He carried a crystal box containing a glowing object. "Earth will also receive the Library of Celestial Knowledge," Vorax said. "This contains the highest scientific and cultural achievements of the Confederation, previously shared only with Category 1 worlds." Dr. Bae accepted the box with a deep bow. More cheers filled the hall. "Finally," Vorax said, "I wish to recognize the human child who changed our understanding." He extended one long-fingered hand. "Choi Jiwoo, please come forward." Jiwoo's heart beat fast as she walked up to the stage. The crowd was huge and everyone was looking at her. She remembered to walk slowly and bow just as she had been taught. "Choi Jiwoo," Vorax said, "you have brought great honor to your world and taught wisdom to mine." From within his robes, he produced a small star-shaped crystal that glowed with inner light. He placed it gently in Jiwoo's hands. "This is the Star of Enlightenment, given only to those who advance galactic understanding. In 5,000 years, only 300 beings have received this honor. You are the first human and the youngest recipient ever." The crystal felt warm in Jiwoo's hands. As she held it, it changed color, matching the rhythm of her heartbeat. "Thank you, Your Magnificence," she said in perfect High Celestial. The mathematical patterns in her speech were flawless, expressing gratitude with elegant harmonics that made some of the aliens in the audience gasp in wonder. Vorax did something then that shocked everyone. He bowed to Jiwoo, not deeply, but definitely a bow. A galactic king had never bowed to anyone in recorded history. "Throughout my 5,000-year reign," Vorax said, speaking now to the entire hall, "I have seen countless wonders across our vast galaxy. Yet nothing has humbled me more than discovering that the universe's greatest linguistic minds emerged on a planet I once dismissed." He straightened and addressed the crowd again. "Let this be a lesson to all species. Never judge by appearance or expectation. The universe is full of surprises, and wisdom can come from the most unexpected places." The ceremony continued with speeches and presentations, but for Jiwoo, the most important part had already happened. She returned to her seat, holding the glowing crystal carefully. "What will you do now?" Dr. Kim asked her when the formal part was over and people were mingling. "I want to teach," Jiwoo said without hesitation. "I want to help other kids learn High Celestial, and I want to learn all the alien languages too." 5 years later, 13-year-old Jiwoo stood at the landing pad of Earth's new spaceport. She was taller now, more confident. The Star of Enlightenment hung on a chain around her neck, still glowing with inner light. Behind her stood 20 children aged 6 to 10, all graduates of her special class at the Earth Academy of Celestial Linguistics. They were about to become Earth's youngest ambassadors, traveling to worlds across the galaxy to help build bridges between species. As Jiwoo prepared to board the ship that would take her on her first diplomatic mission, she thought back to when it all began, when she had first heard those strange alien sounds coming from her father's office. "Are you nervous?" asked Park Min, who now worked as Jiwoo's assistant. "A little," Jiwoo admitted. "But mostly excited." She touched the crystal at her neck and smiled. In her pocket was a small data storage device, a copy of her father's original research recordings that had started her journey. She kept it as a reminder that sometimes the greatest adventures begin with simple curiosity. The ship's doors opened, ready to carry her to the stars. Humanity had found its voice in the galaxy, and Jiwoo was ready to help it sing. The end.